I will tell you that we won her case. Myrta was going to be with us today, but she had her wisdom teeth removed on Monday, and there's no way she felt she could do it, but she just graduated high school. She's wanting to get a job and go to college, and we're very, very proud of her. You know, a little bit ago, Caesar mentioned that Miami is sort of in a bubble, but, and lots of times, you know, I have people say to me, well, Cheryl, you're so lucky to be in Florida because you've got such a diverse immigrant community. There aren't any problems there, right? Wrong. In many ways, Florida has been at the epicenter of anti-immigrant measures, especially since September 11th. For example, we were the first state to deputize local law enforcement to act as immigration agents. And I remember meeting Blanca Benitez. Blanca and her husband and 2 young children, 2 boys, 4 and 7, were driving a car, pulled over by police, not given a traffic ticket, but asked for their immigration papers. And when they didn't have them, the dad was taken to the Chrome Detention Center, mom was taken to a facility in Broward, and she didn't know what had happened to her 2 U.S. citizen children. She begged the officers to leave her children with her sister, who was a lawful permanent resident of the United States. She was then transferred to 2 jails in Texas, and for 2 months, she didn't know where her husband was, he didn't know where she was, she didn't know where her children were, her children didn't know where she was. They were placed in foster care. When Blanca was brought back to the Broward Transitional Center and we met with her, we had to tell her that there was a hearing scheduled to determine whether or not she was going to retain custody of her children, not because she was a bad mother, she was a great mother, simply because she was in detention and facing removal. Now, we know of cases where women have lost custody of their children. We reached out to the Honduran consulate, and thankfully, when she was deported with her children. But this should not be happening in the United States of America. Local towns, for example, in Florida, Palm Bay, Avon Park, have taken it upon themselves to try to pass laws to discriminate against immigrants. I remember in one of these ordinances, which was almost passed, they would have fined any landlord who rented to someone who wasn't legal. There was a sign, I don't know if it's still there, in Avon Park that says, "Welcome to Avon Park, have passport and green card ready." In Deerfield Beach, the president of a condo, about 70% of the condo were Brazilian, posted something in the bulletin board that said as follows: "I've advised Immigration and Customs Enforcement to come and check all your documents, and if you don't oblige, I'm giving them permission to forcibly enter your unit." This happened. Last time I checked, there were over a dozen groups in Florida whose sole mission is to drive immigrants out and frankly to treat them extremely inhumanely. One of these groups has a website. They say for $10, they'll report the immigrant of your choice to immigration officials. I believe that their website is www.reportillegals.com. Anti-immigrant rhetoric can have grave, grave consequences. In Florida, you know, many immigrants aren't able to open a bank account because they don't have the identification necessary. And so they carry cash, or they have cash under their mattress. And they're easy targets for bad guys because if they are victims of a crime, they're very unlikely to report it to the police. And so Guatemalans have been targeted to such an extent, and some have even lost their lives as a result, that they've given a name to it, and they call it, it's not what I'm calling it, Guat bashing. There was an article in the Herald a while back about Mexican nationals in Homestead who were being targeted, their homes broken into, everything stolen, they and their families beaten up, called it Chico hunting. Racial profiling, unfortunately, we hear about these kinds of cases all too often. I remember when I was at Chrome a while ago, I met a U.S. citizen. He'd been begging for help. We met him during a Know Your Rights presentation. He was born in the United States. His parents were born in the United States. He had a paternal grandparent who was born in Mexico. Now, when I discovered that he was a citizen, I met with the deportation officer who said, "Cheryl, he's got a hearing in front of the judge in a couple of weeks. It'll be resolved then." I said, "I don't think so. If it's not resolved today and he doesn't walk out with me today, I'm going immediately to the press." And he fortunately was able to walk out. But The Herald did a story just I think in the last couple of months about a gentleman in a bicycle who was stopped and asked for his proof that he was here legally. He was a citizen. He didn't have a driver's license. He was riding a bicycle. So not surprisingly, fear, as Caesar said, in immigrant communities these days is palpable. I've talked to pastors who say their church pews are empty. People are afraid to go to church. I've talked to people who are afraid to take their children to the doctor. And you know, in Plant City just last year, CNN did a story. A woman who brought her 2-year-old baby for a routine checkup at the doctor's office. A woman walked up to her and said, "I'm from immigration. Give me your baby or else you're going to be deported." And she was terrified. She gave this person her baby. You know, fortunately, you know, she talked to some people who said, call the police. They did an Amber Alert and they found the baby. But this is what's going on in immigrant communities these days. These are stories, this is what's happening. So that's why we are stepping up our support of smart, common sense policies. Things like the DREAM Act, okay? Which would permit students like, come on guys, Felipe Mathos and Robinson Bareilles to become even greater than they already are. They are extremely brilliant kids, as so many of the kids at Miami-Dade College and other places are. The DREAM Act would permit kids who, like them, you know, came here at a young age, have done nothing wrong and everything right, have excelled in school, want to give back to the country they love and call home. Even if you don't want to help immigrants, it's the smart thing to do.